Hello my loves, it is Neo of AhhhSoNeo. Hi, welcome back to my channel. So, if you have been here before, welcome back. Thank you so much for coming back. You guys are the real MVP. I always appreciate the support that I get from my YouTube family. If you are new here, welcome one and all. I am doing a different kind of video for me today, but I thought it would be something that people might enjoy watching. So if this is your first time here, welcome. A little bit about myself. I am a channel that focuses mainly on beauty and luxury and cosmetics, handbags, things like that, but all things that I like to think start from a luxurious mindset and a mindset of abundance and appreciation. And I always, in my other videos, give a little spiel about how to stay positive. That is all internal. And so today I kind of wanted to do a bit more of a full-length video where I talk about staying positive during challenging times. So watch the video. If you like it, if you like the message, definitely subscribe. Hit the like button, leave comments down below. Let me know if you would like to see more videos like this one. I do have another one planned that will be out later. That will be about my top, I'm trying to narrow it down to 5, but it might be my top 10 motivational / law of attraction type books. I always have this message that, you know, we have to choose happiness, right? And so even in the middle of COVID-19, we have to choose happiness. But I don't sometimes kind of help and explain a little bit more how people can choose that happiness and how people can choose to stay positive regardless of what they're going through. So I did want to share that today. So here are my tips on how to stay positive during challenging times, especially COVID-19. So we're all social distancing, kind of sort of quarantining ourselves. We're all at home. We're all being driven nuts by our family members that we're not used to spending 24 hours with a day. That might just be me. Whew, yeah. And you know, I don't even have the outlet of going to the gym every day because my gym got closed, so stay with me. How do I maintain a positive attitude when all of this is going on? I just have a variety of tips and tricks. Most importantly, one thing that I am doing now over and over again is reading my favorite positive / motivational books. Other positive books, kind of like more on the motivational aspect of things, I like to read books such as this by Napoleon Hill, and this is The Law of Success in 16 Lessons. I really like this book because you can just jump from lesson to lesson. You don't have to read it, you know, from cover to cover. So if you don't have that attention span, you can just pick a particular lesson that kind of corresponds with how you're feeling and read that. So I just love to read positive motivational books that keep me engaged, keep me you know, thankful for what's going on, and just reinforce that positive mindset that I have, because the goal, of course, is to choose happiness. And so sometimes you got to find those things that make you happy, and I highly recommend reading really positive books. So while we're reading these really positive books, one of the things that I find comes from that is an increase in my positive thoughts, right? If I'm reading a book that is telling me, yes, I can go out and do these things, I can go out and, you know, build that business, I can go out and find that job, I can go out and save that money or find that pair of shoes I've been hunting for, it reinforces the positive thoughts that are in my mind, right? So I think one of the things that I find really challenging is limiting my negative thoughts, especially because sometimes you just kind of go into this cycle where you're catastrophizing, and you start with one negative thought and then the next one and the next one, and before you know it, your mood, your emotions have gone from here to here, right? Bad situation. So how do you get from, if you're feeling low or if you see yourself starting to spiral down? Well, focus on the positive thoughts, focus on the good things, focus on the things that are shining a light or making you feel, even if it's just a little bit better. When I'm frustrated at my job, I will look up sometimes, and I don't know if you guys can see it, but I have a card up on that wall and it says thank you very much. And just looking at that and going, you know what, One day someone thought enough to send me that card, like old snail mail came in the mail, but someone thought enough to send me that card and to thank me to thank me for me. And so it always lifts up my spirit when I'm sitting at this desk frustrated at work, and I'm really starting to go all gloom and doom. I'll look up, I see that card, and I'll think someone out there appreciates me, and it really just lightens up my whole mood, and it just makes me thankful for me. So just it's just a change in direction from going from the negative to the positive, because I find it's hard to just say stop being negative. So instead of that, I just go, well, let me just be positive. So you just make that pivot to the more positive thoughts and then try to stay on that gravy train, right? Just like with the negative thoughts, you can spiral down. With a positive thought, you can spiral up, most definitely. And then once you start on the positive thoughts, one way to maintain that spiraling up, one way to maintain and keep thinking about more and more new positive thoughts is, of course, the time-tested, works every time method of affirmations. Definitely affirmations. Now, we all have our different tips and tricks on affirmations. You've got to make it now a current statement. I am, not I will be or I want, just I am, whatever the desire is. We've got to make sure we put our emotions into it. We've got to really believe this is the thing that I am. I am skinny. Right? That's a really big positive affirmation. You got to put it in the current context of I am, and then you've got to make sure that you are focusing it on with the right emotion and so on. There's so many, actually I could do a whole affirmation video, but there's so many useful things out there about how to phrase your affirmations or how to magnify your affirmations. You know, if you repeat them to yourself in front of a mirror, it's a law of magnification, because now it's yourself and your reflection repeating back the affirmation to you. You got to verbalize your affirmations versus just writing them down or reading them, and that comes down to the law of, that comes down to vibration, because everything in the universe works on that element of vibration, right? So if you're speaking it and your voice is translating that which you might be writing down every day or so on, it gives it that extra oomph, it gives it that extra power. So focusing on saying your affirmations to yourself multiple times a day with real feeling, telling yourself who you are, remembering who you are through your affirmation, that I find is a very useful tool on how to stay positive, how to choose happiness during whatever the circumstances. So I am filled with love, peace, and joy. I live my life knowing my prayers are already answered. I love that one. I am building a new me by focusing on my dreams and going after them. I release all anxiety, worry, doubt, and fear to the power within me. I am love. I am joy. I am peace. I am money. I live my life knowing my prayers are already answered. Thank you. Always say thank you. And one of my best ones for maybe if I'm not feeling my best and I'm trying to spiral up is always bring it whenever I'm ready for it, and I'll do my best to get ready for it as quickly as I can. Meanwhile, I'm having a really good time. I'm satisfied with where I am and eager for more. I love where I am and so eager for what's coming next. Thank you. That one actually is from Abraham and Esther Hicks. We started off with reading positive books. We had positive thoughts, also affirmations. Another thing I think is really critical right now is appreciating your health and well-being. And notice I said appreciating and not being grateful. I think a lot of people don't know that there's a difference between appreciation and gratefulness. When you look at the general scale of how emotions play out, a lot of times we're told, oh, be grateful, be grateful. But when you look at the context of how you're told to be grateful, it's often within the context of lack, right? 100 people have lost their jobs, so you be grateful that you still have a job. right? Or 1,000 people are dying from COVID-19. You be grateful that you're still healthy. It kind of feels like you've got to be grateful because you're in this sense of lack. You're in this sense of people dying. You're in the sense of people losing their jobs. So gratefulness, if you don't have any, you know, if you're not thankful for anything, being grateful is a good step up your emotional ladder. But I think the difference between gratefulness and appreciation, and this is something I recently learned, and it's really made a big impact for me. Appreciation is just being thankful, being joyous, being appreciative with no context. It's not, gosh, I'm appreciating having a job because of X, you know what I'm saying? It's just, I appreciate having a job. And so it feels like it's a little higher up that emotional level, that emotional ladder. So it's typically spoken of as just appreciating the outside, or appreciating the sun, or appreciating relaxing. It doesn't have that slightly negative connotation or context that gratefulness sometimes often does. So I like to say, you know, you got to really appreciate your health and your wellness. You got to really just appreciate who you are and your health and the things that you can do and your body and what it can do. Just appreciate it. That's it. Not, I'm grateful because I can still walk, because that implies a focus on the people who cannot walk. It's just appreciating that I'm walking, right? I love that. And one of the great things that I love that helps me appreciate my health and well-being and helps me maintain my positive attitude at all times is dance. Because I wanted to dance. There's nothing better to me than hearing a beat, hearing the music, feeling the vibration, especially if the music is loud, boom, boom, loud, right? Really loud. And it's just that vibration for me. It's just that sense, that music, that it's the best feeling. And I get that too a lot from exercise, because it allows me to move my body, and it just takes me out of my mind. It takes me out of my mind. When I dance, it takes me out of my mind. When I'm exercising, it takes me out of my mind. And doesn't that sound like a form of meditation? Doesn't that sound like a form of just easing your mind? It is for me. You know, sometimes I go trail running in the mountains by my house, and I say very simply, I've gone to church. Because I have. And so appreciate your health, your wellness, and do those physical things. The next is really much more of like a tip, a general tip, sometimes something to help us in maintaining in maintaining that positivity, that right mindset in these challenging times. Limit your social media. Yeah, really. Not this video. Watch this video to the end. But in general, limit your social media. I have been bombarded, whether it's social media or real media or radio, whatever it is, been bombarded by all this COVID-19 stuff, COVID, coronavirus, regular corona, I gotta die. Psh, try to limit that stuff. It's limited for your children, limited for yourself. It's so anxiety producing, so stressful, and when you're looking at it from all angles, you're really dampening your spirit, and you might not realize how much it's affecting you. But this constant news about the numbers and the next country and the lockdown and the no toilet paper, the no bloody toilet paper, it can be so much for our souls to take. And so you just need to take a step back. Even if you don't limit your social media, maybe you need to find that happy video. Watch a video on YouTube about babies falling. Those are so funny. They're really funny. They're funny because babies always get right up. Not that the babies are getting hurt, but you know what I'm saying? But they're so funny, and so it's kind of going back to the thinking positive thoughts and limiting the negative thoughts. So find the social media that does make you feel good and bubbly and positive, or motivates you to some kind of positive action, rather than just, you know, I've seen people who are like 24 hours on Facebook trailing the maps of the COVID-19, like where it's going next. And I'm like, no, I don't need that energy, and I'm gonna stay here in my little positive bubble no matter what is going on. So yeah. And then the last tip I have about how to stay positive, how to stay motivated, how to reduce anxiety during these challenging times is a very, very simple one. It's almost that one when all else fails. What do you do when all else fails? Go to bed. Go to bed. Your mother was right. Go to bed. And I find going to bed so effective because simply it's a form of surrender. It's a form of just trusting the universe. It's a form of saying there's nothing left I can do. It's a form of leaving it to a higher power. It's a form of rest, letting your brain shut down, and saying, you know, if you're religious, well, joy comes in the morning, right? And sometimes we might be up all night because our brain won't shut off because we are so anxious, right? And really, even in those moments, it's like, okay, I'm not gonna sleep now, but I might nod off at 5 in the morning. And trying to give yourself that moment to just go to bed, go to sleep, have that moment of surrender, and let your brain give you a rest. Because really, if you're having worrying thoughts, write them down. If you have questions, write them down before you go to bed. Let your subconscious mind go ahead and answer the questions for you while you sleep. Leave it up to a higher power. Let someone else stress for you. And again, if you're religious, that someone else could be God. I believe in the God in me. Yeah, so those are just some of my thoughts, my tips and tricks on how to stay positive, how to choose happiness, how to stay motivated during these challenging times, especially with COVID-19 and the dreaded coronavirus that is causing COVID-19. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Choose happiness. It's a choice. It's a choice you get to make every day, every moment, every minute. Choose happiness regardless of all outside circumstances, and know deep in your bones that the universe has your back, right? There's only one answer to the following question. I believe it was a question that was asked of Albert Einstein. He said, is this a friendly universe? There's only one answer. Yes. And if I said that question and your answer was no, you gotta come back, because we gotta work on that. The universe is your friend. The universe has your back. And when you know that, you have no choice but to choose happiness.